Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. About alhamdulillah, inshallah, we're going to today resume our discussion and lessons on the life of the prophets, inshallah. And what I will be doing, inshallah, is we will again continue our course in studying the life of the prophets. And at the end of the lesson on the prophets, we'll highlight some aspect of black history, to make it relevant to what's going on now, okay? So that's what I decided to do. Rather than go into a detailed study and course on black history, I'll just highlight certain major and important things that people need to know, all right? Because I find that even myself, as I read and study and research, I thought I knew black history. I said, subhanAllah, there are things that I didn't know, things that I'm learning, and so I want to share. We want to share, all right? Many African American scholars have been writing books for many years, and if we don't read, we never get that information. And things we need to know about ourselves as a people, for sure, and help us understand what's going on today and our condition as a people. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to highlight that kind of history, so especially our young people can understand, all right? So we'll have two, so the class will be, two parts. One will continue to talk about the prophets of Allah, alhamdulillah, and then the second part will deal with some history, all right? So it's all good, okay? So our last lesson, last class, we were speaking about the prophet Ibrahim, all right? And so what I want to do is kind of like recap, some of those things and bring us up to speed so we can finish the prophet Ibrahim today, all right? So the first thing I want to highlight or go back over basically is as a recap, the rank of Ibrahim, just to remind, okay? As we mentioned, the prophet Ibrahim has a special rank, okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Baqarah, verse 135 and 136, in Surah Ali Imran, verse 84 and verse 85. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the translation of the meaning is, and they say, be Jews or Christians. Okay? Be Jews or Christians, and you will be guided. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, no. But we followed the religion of Ibrahim, inclining towards truth, and he was not of the mushrikeen. O believers, we believe in Allah and what was revealed to us and what was revealed to Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq and Yaqub and the descendants of Israel, and what was given to Musa and Jesus, Isa, and what was given to the prophets by their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and we surrender to him in Islam. Okay. So that's, alhamdulillah, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran about Ibrahim and some of the prophets, alhamdulillah. All right. So in one brief statement, the above verse summarizes the Islamic teachings concerning Allah's messengers, that all of them were equally chosen and guided and granted revelation by their Lord, and that what each of them brought was the true original religion to which Allah gives the name Al-Islam. And at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those messengers we cause some of them to excel others. Okay? Some of them we cause to excel others in rank. They're all sent by Allah, teaching that man should worship Allah alone, you see, but they had different ranks too. Okay, so this ayat verifies it. All right? Those messengers we cause some of them to excel others. Among them are those to whom Allah spoke. See? Allah spoke directly. How? We don't know, but Allah spoke directly. And he exalted some of them in rank. See? He exalted some of them in rank. We now come to one of the most honored of all of the prophets in rank, and that is Ibrahim. All right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says concerning Ibrahim and his rank, okay? And Ibrahim was indeed an ummah. In other words, he was a nation by himself. He was like a one-man community that spread the dawah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't have a whole lot of people. He was one man. You understand? And he had a tremendous impact on the world and throughout history, his teaching. SubhanAllah. That's how Allah raised him. One man. SubhanAllah. Okay? Yeah. And if we fast forward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet Muhammad thousands of followers, man. Yeah. Thousands, right on up to the day. SubhanAllah. But Ibrahim, SubhanAllah, one man. Okay? And what he did, okay? So he left a tremendous legacy, alhamdulillah. So Allah, his rank was just so special, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Ibrahim was indeed an ummah, devoutly obedient to Allah, inclining toward truth. Hanafi, okay? And he was not among the mushrikeen. He was grateful for his favors, for Allah's favors. Allah chose him and guided him to a straight path. And we gave him good in this world, and indeed in the hereafter he will be among the righteous. Then we revealed to you, Muhammad, to follow the faith of Ibrahim, inclining toward truth. Hanafi. Okay? And he was not among the mushrikeen. Alhamdulillah. Okay? So again, the honor. And there's another, and then the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us, or Allah mentioned in the Quran about the the prophets that are called the prophets of strength in terms of rank. Wow. Ulul al-Azm. Ulul al-Azm. Ulul al-Azm mean the prophets who are strong. All right? And among them, of course, those five, they're five. And they're mentioned in the Quran. And they're mentioned in the teaching of the Prophet. These are strong prophets with high rank. And when you look at the mission, what was commissioned to do, you can see the rank was, above the rest. Okay? Yeah. Even though all of the prophets, alhamdulillah, they're in the rank of prophets. All right, and they have great status. But again, alhamdulillah. Okay. And so those five, Ulul al-Azm, the great prophet, or the prophets of strength, Nuh, the prophet Noah. Prophet Noah. All right, and the prophet Ibrahim. We're talking about now, all right? And then we have the prophet Musa, okay? Moses. And then we have the prophet Isa, Jesus, you see? And then we have the prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those are the five. They're called the Ulul al-Azm. Remember that, the five prophets of strength. But we know, again, as a reminder, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent many prophets and messengers to mankind over man's history. 124,000 all told, you see? And so they're varying ranks and they have various missions, but all, the common mission of all of them was to call man and their people to worship Allah alone and don't associate no partner with them. Tawheed. Tawheed, that was it, okay? All right? So, alhamdulillah, one of the things that we learn about the prophet Ibrahim, all right, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored him, Allah gave him certain titles, okay, or selected him for certain things, all right? And so one of the things we learn about Ibrahim, and who is better in religion than one who surrenders himself to God, Allah, while being a doer of good and follows the religion of Ibrahim, inclined toward truth, and Allah took Ibrahim as a Khalil, a friend. So that's one of the Prophet Ibrahim's special titles, a special position. I mean, do you know what it's like to be for Allah Almighty to say, that you are his friend? Allah took him as his friend, a Khalil. The Almighty Allah. That's a powerful rank. That's awesome. Allah said, and we made him Khalil. And there's only two prophets that was Khalil. The Allah mentioned him as being his Khalil, his friend, his dear friend. And that's the Prophet Ibrahim and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah. Okay? All right?
No.
Alhamdulillah. So Allah mentioned in this verse, Surah 4, verse 25. Okay? There was a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, each prophet has a close friend among the prophets. And my close friend among the prophets is my father and the close friend Khalil of my Lord Ibrahim. Okay. So even the Prophet was saying he was the friend of the Prophet Ibrahim. And then he recited the verse, indeed, the foremost people with respect to Ibrahim are those who followed him, and this Prophet Muhammad and those who believe, and Allah is protector of the believers. Okay, let me run through this real fast, because I'll be caught up in this all day, all right? All right? Some more hadiths, okay? That I think important. Ibrahim alayhi salam was certainly one of the most special individuals who ever lived, and from special people, special things are expected. The following are some other aspects related to Ibrahim's extraordinary rank and personality. A hadith that does not originate with the Prophet is reported in Imam Malik's Muwatta. It mentions the following honoring one's visitors. Second, Ibrahim was the first person to be circumcised. Third, he was the first person to trim his mustache. Fourth, Ibrahim was the first person to notice his gray hair. When he saw it, he said, "Oh Lord, what is this?" And Allah, the blessed and exalted, replied, "It is dignity." To have gray hair, dignity. Allah has blessed you with long life. You see what I'm saying? You start getting gray hair, it's honor, alhamdulillah. That's why in Islam, we're taught the importance of respecting the elders, alhamdulillah, all right? And the way of honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one hadith, one of the ways to honor Allah is to honor an elderly person who has gray hair. You see what I'm saying? Okay? Again, Ibrahim alayhi salam has the distinction of being mentioned in the Quran 69 times. 69 times. Anytime Allah mentions something a lot, that means it's important. Okay? Alhamdulillah. All right. Okay, this is like a review. We're just going over something. I think it's been so long since we had a class, so I think it would be good to just go over some of these things. So we know, alhamdulillah, Ibrahim was born in the city called Ur, all right, which was located in Iraq. Back then it was called something else, Mesopotamia, Babylon, all right. So that's the area he came from and his people, alhamdulillah, okay. That was the place. That's the area where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised him up, okay. The leader of that time, there was a cruel king living during that time. His name was Nimrod. Nimrod, he was a tyrant king. He was similar to Pharaoh. Actually, he thought he was so arrogant that he believed that he was God. I'm God. Why? Because he had power. He had power and authority. You see, and that's why we learned that even when Ibrahim, the prophet Ibrahim, confronted him and reminded him and tried to call him to Allah, and to be humble, Nimrod was so arrogant, like Pharaoh, he asked him, "Tell me about your Lord." My Lord, the creator of the heavens and the, earth, and he gives life and he gives death. You see, and Nimrod, I give life, I give death. You know what I'm saying? I give life, I decide who lives and I decide who dies. And we learned that he ordered some of his soldiers to bring me two people out of the prison. You know what I'm saying? Before Musa and the people, and he took one of them, he killed him. Had him executed right in front of everybody. See, I I kill who I want to kill. You see, that was in Nimrod. You see what I'm saying? And then he let the other one free. So he said, I give life, I let people live, and I take life too. See? Narrow-minded. That was his arrogance, you see?
Wow.
And so Musa, so Ibrahim said, yeah, well, my Lord Allah, who you deny, you know what I'm saying? Causes the sun to rise in the east. Can you make it rise in the west? SubhanAllah. See, he was jammed. He was like, he couldn't deal with that. You see what I'm saying? So thus, Ibrahim ended up defeating him. You see? So how Allah raised up the prophets to deal with these arrogant people, okay? So we also learn, alhamdulillah, that's just one encounter. We'll come back to him later on. We learn also that Ibrahim alayhi salam was born in a cave because the king had a dream and he went to his top astrologers who predict the future, and they told him, that that dream kind of like means that somebody in your kingdom going to be raised up, man. They're going to overthrow you. You see? Somebody from amongst the people. So he became afraid, so he gave order that all of the young boys, similar to Pharaoh, right, should be killed. You see? And so Ibrahim's father, we learned that Ibrahim's father, took his, so he ordered, so Nimrod ordered everybody to vacate the city, especially the women primarily, so that the men would have not have relationships with their wives, and thus the women would get pregnant and produce sons. So he killed up everybody that was current, all right, and then all the women he ordered away. Or he ordered the women to leave, or he ordered the men to leave. I forgot exactly which one. Anyway, the whole idea is that he separated them so that the men would not have relations with their wives and thus get pregnant. You see what I'm saying? With a boy, and this boy would grow up to overthrow him. So he was a real crazy person, okay? And so Musa's father, Ibrahim's father ended up, visiting his wife. Make a long story short, because she was amongst the women that was taken out of the city, right? And he ended up visiting her, and he couldn't control himself. He ended up having a relationship with her, you see. And so he feared that if Nimrod found out that, that his wife was pregnant and a child would be born from that, and if it was a boy, he would kill it. So Ibrahim's father took Ibrahim's mother and hid her in a cave while she was pregnant. So when she had the baby, Ibrahim, he was born in a cave. All right? We covered this already, so I'm just making it short. No. He was born in a cave, and he grew up in the cave, stayed isolated until he became almost, like puberty, big boy, he grew up, okay, in a cave basically, and then by that time, the astrologers, came to Nimrod and told him, this thing that occurred in your dream, it didn't come to pass. So he got relaxed. He said, okay, cool. Then everything came back to normal, so people were able to come back. Right? And so Ibrahim came out of the cave. You know what I'm saying? And then he learned from his father, so forth and so on. So some of the top seers and the commentators, they talk about this a lot. But my purpose is just to mention it, okay, so you could have some idea, all right? But that's how he was born in a cave, all right? Because we don't know much about, Ibrahim's childhood outside of what Allah reveals in the Quran, all right? Whatever Allah reveals in the Quran and what the Prophet Muhammad told us in the Hadith and what some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ related as they learned from the Prophet himself, all right? So we don't know much about him, all right? But that point was mentioned in some of the commentary, how he was born in the cave, okay? Alhamdulillah. Ibrahim began to give dawah to his father was an idol maker. He was a Muslim king, he wasn't a believer. And, Ibrahim challenged his father, in a nice way, he worshiping idols, so forth and so on. And his father was adamant and told Ibrahim, stop calling people to Allah, stop denouncing, the false God, or I'll fight you, I'll oppose you, so forth and so on. And so we learned that that one day Ibrahim, he was while the people, he was smart. as a youth. He was smart. And so the people, while the people was going away for some festival, you know, he made some excuse so he didn't have to go with them. And while they was away, partying and having a good time, you know, he looked at all of the idols and the false gods that they were worshiping, you know what I'm saying? He broke them all up into pieces. He took an axe and he just busting them all up. Okay? And this is a major story in the Quran and the Hadith. He broke all the idols up, and so when they came back, long story short, who broke up our idol? And he broke all of them up except one. He left one. Broke all of them up except one. So when they came back, he said, who broke up our gods, you know? You know? And they said, Ibrahim, you know, so someone said that we heard that a youth by the name of Ibrahim broke up the idol. So alhamdulillah, they brought Ibrahim forward. Did you break up our idols, you know? Our false gods? And Ibrahim said, ask the big one who did it. Ask the big one who did it. You're asking me for, I don't know. Ask the big one. You see? Again, he defeated them. They said, you know the idols can't talk. These stones can't talk. He said, then, so why are you worshiping them? Why are you worshiping that? You see? They couldn't protect themselves. You see, from whoever broke them up. You see what I'm saying? How are you going to worship something that they can't speak to you? They can't answer you. You see, they cannot protect you or protect themselves. You see what I'm saying? All right. So of course they was very angry and upset, and so another scenario that we learned, you know, because of this and his dispute with Nimrod, they decided we need to get rid of him, and so they threw him in the fire. They built this huge fire, threw him in the fire, you know, to get rid of him, of course. And when they threw him in the fire, long story short, Allah caused the fire to be cool. See what I'm saying? And, and of course, we learned a very famous dua that Allah revealed in the Quran, that when Ibrahim was thrown in the fire, you understand, you know, he said, Hasbunallah wa ni'ma wakil. You know, Allah is the protector. He's my protector, you know, and my wakil. He's my guardian. He's my protector. He's one that protects, okay? Allah is sufficient for me, and He is my protector. Hasbunallah wa ni'ma wakil. That's what he said. And that prayer, alhamdulillah, has endured right on up to this time now. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made that same prayer when he heard that the enemies of Islam that was opposing him was going to attack him. The unbelieving army was going to attack the Prophet Muhammad and the companions and whatnot. And people became a little nervous because of the numbers of the enemies and how powerful they was, so they became fearful. And the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say the dua that Prophet Ibrahim said, Hasbunallah wa ni'ma wakil. You know? Okay? So Allah is sufficient for us, and He is our protector. So we as Muslims, we learn from this, and anytime we feel, or since we're in danger of an enemy, we're not to be afraid. We're only afraid of Allah. We say, Hasbunallah wa ni'ma wakil. Okay, everybody say it. See, that's powerful to do it. In any situation you find yourself in, even with the coronavirus, we learn with the coronavirus, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's going on. We're taught this is one of the powerful du'as that we say to protect, because we know, you know, Allah is sufficient and Allah will protect from anything. Right now, this virus, you know what I'm saying, it's all over the place. You know, people are getting sick, people are dying, but that's one of the du'as that's easy to learn, easy to recite, and we should recite it on a regular basis, okay? Alhamdulillah. So Allah caused the fire to be cool, and alhamdulillah, then we learned that Ibrahim migrated, all right, because because after the incident of the fire, you know what I'm saying, they was not successful, so they began to make others kill him, all right? We also learned, so he had to leave. We also learned that Nimrod eventually died, and if y'all remember how he passed away, you know what I'm saying, Allah caused a mosquito, according to the commentary, into his ear. In his ear, then it went inside his head, and a little, I was reflecting upon it, a mosquito is something tiny, but like the virus, you know, like the coronavirus, something tiny you can't even see with a microscope. You see what I'm saying? It's just killing everybody. People are just dropping like flies. See, Allah do what He want to do. You see, so that's how Nimrod passed away. You see what I'm saying? Okay, you know, with his arrogance, Allah caused a fly. He couldn't control that. A fly went inside. All right. And some of the comments, some of the hadith commentator speaks of, in somewhat detail in terms of, this particular incident that took place with Nimrod. Right? But we know, make a long story short, you know, he eventually was destroyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Allah used a mosquito to destroy him. Inshallah. Okay. We also learned that Ibrahim goes to Egypt and had an encounter with the king there, and we learned that when he went to Egypt, you know, the king, another wicked king in Egypt, you know what I'm saying, you know, he had a problem. You know, he was a lustful man. I mean, sexually lustful. And Ibrahim's wife Sarah was a beautiful woman. So he saw her and he wanted her for himself. You see, but they had a tradition. You know what I'm saying? Well, like they wouldn't mess with a woman when that was married. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't married. You know. If they did, you know, they would kill the man, you see what I'm saying, and then take his wife. That's what they did. So the king of Egypt asked Ibrahim, you know what I'm saying, who was Sarah. So Ibrahim, being alerted by Allah what this man's intention was, you see, so Ibrahim didn't tell him that was my wife, because if Ibrahim had said that's my wife, then he'd have killed Ibrahim and took his wife. So he said, no, it's my sister. So some say he lied, right? He lied, but it was a righteous lie. You know what I'm saying? But it really wasn't a lie because she was his sister in Islam, right? Right? But Ibrahim was really trying to protect himself so he can carry on Allah's work. You know what I'm saying? And still be there to protect his wife and whatnot, so forth and so on. So he said, and he told her, look, this tyrant, you know what I'm saying, is going to kidnap you and whatnot, and just say you're my sister, you know, that you are my sister. Don't tell me why. Because again, they would kill him and then he wouldn't give the dowry. So Allah told him to do that. Allah alerted him, this is what you got to do to protect. The work has to go on. Because if this tyrant find out that this is your wife, he going to kill you, man. Straight up, so he can have her. And then there'll be no profit, what? To give what? The dowry. So it was a wise move on Ibrahim's part. He knew, he understood, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of knowers. You see? So when he said that she's my sister, he said, So the tyrant, had her brought to him, and then he tried to, have some relationship with her. You know what I'm saying? So when he moved toward her, Allah caused his hand to become paralyzed, and he couldn't touch her. So see, he realized something was wrong, and so he asked her, can you pray to your God, you know what I'm saying, that, to restore my hand back to normal? And she prayed for him, you know what I'm saying? His hand came, then he tried it again. So he went through this about 3 times. And each time he asked her, can you ask your Lord to free me of this disease, and restore my arm or my hand back to normal? So she did, and then after the 3rd time, then he told his God, get rid of this lady here. I think she a devil. So he wanted no parts about at that point, So we learned that this is the incident that took place with Sarah, his wife. And then he ended up giving her a gift. And the gift he gave her, and keep in mind the bigger picture of all of this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moving behind the scenes. We don't understand Allah's wisdom. No. So the king, I guess to absolve himself, for his deed or what he tried to do, he gave her, take the servant. He gave her a gift. Hajar, maid servant, take her. And he got rid of her, all right? So alhamdulillah, and so later on, because Ibrahim couldn't have children, him and his wife Sarah was barren, and she couldn't have no children. She didn't have no children at that point. She was old now, you see, had no children. So she gave her servant Hajar. Look, Ibrahim, you marry her, because she's young, and after you have some children, alhamdulillah, and which he did. All right, and the fruit of that union, of course, we learned was his son Ismail. Ismail. Allah, mashallah. See the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? Even wanted a son. He may do it to Allah. Allah, give me a son. Allah again gave him Ismail. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Oh, okay. So we move on. So after leaving Egypt, they settled. So they left Egypt and they went to Sham, and Ibrahim and Hajar had a son Ismail. All right. And then it said that later on, Sarah, for a while she got jealous, so she told Ibrahim, look, you need to take Hajar, somewhere else. Put it in another area. You know what I'm saying? And, but be as it may, Ibrahim was commanded by Allah. See, this is the bigger picture. Take Hajar and Ismail to a desert area. In the desert area, where Allah commanded Ibrahim to take his mother Hajar, all right, and Ismail was what later became what? Mecca.
Mecca Valley.
Mecca Valley. All right, so he took them there, and as he was leaving, you know, in other words, he dropped him off. Leave them there. That was the command. And we learned that Hajar said, you bringing us out here in the middle of the desert with no food and drink, we'll die. What you doing? And Ibrahim kept walking away. And she kept calling, Ibrahim, you know, and then finally she said, is this what your Lord commanded you to do? And that's when Ibrahim responded, yes, Allah commanded me to bring you and my son there.
That's tough.
You know what I'm saying? And so she said, I submit. If your Lord commanded you to do this, alhamdulillah, I submit. So what tremendous faith, you know, you see in this woman.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, she submitted once she realized that it was the command. The Bible speaks about, you know, and some of the commentaries they have taken from the Bible, they'll say, you read where they say that Sarah was so jealous of Hajar that she told Ibrahim, get rid of this woman, take her away from me, I don't want to see her, that kind. And that he took her and her son to the desert because of the jealousy of his wife. But we don't accept that. We don't accept that because here, the proof is when she asked, did your Lord command you to leave us here? And he said, yes, he did. You see? So it had nothing to do with Sarah. She may have had some jealousy, you know, as a woman, all right, because that's natural. The prophet's wives had jealousy of each other. You know what I'm saying? When you read their history, it's part of a woman's nature to be jealous of other women, and especially in a multiple marriage situation. That's natural, alhamdulillah. You know, I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but that's natural. Okay, so you know, we don't dispute that. You know, we wouldn't argue that point. But in terms of him following the whims and the desires of his wife, oh no, Allah commanded. Everybody got that?
No.
Alhamdulillah. So that's very, very important. So we don't take from the Bible in this regard. No. That contradicts, you know, what is taught in the Sunnah. You know, when Hajar asked him, you know, did your Lord command you to bring us here? All right, for a wisdom that was beyond everybody. Okay, and so that's what he did. All right, and so Ibrahim left them there, and while so Hajar, after they ran out of the immediate food and drink that they had, they ran out, and so now they needed provision. Now they're in the middle of the desert. And so she began to look for water. So she ran. There was two small hills, and she ran between one hill to the other. And she would run to one hill and look and get on top of the hill and look as far as she can see if there's anybody in sight that was coming or a caravan or something passing through, so she can appeal for some help. No. See, she didn't see nothing. So then she would run to the other hill, looking out, you know, meanwhile the baby, you know, Ismail, the baby's crying, you know, he wants to thirsty, you know what I'm saying, laying down, all right? And so she'd go back and forth between the two hills, okay? Those two hills are called Safa and Marwa. Safa and Marwa, all right? And we repeat this ritual of going back and forth between those two hills when we make Hajj and Umrah. In commemoration of that, but it became one of the rites of Hajj. Right? But we'll come back to that, inshallah. Okay, it's called Sa'i, the Sa'i, where you run between the two hills that Hajar ran between in search of water for her child Ismail. All right. And after going through that 7 times, going from hill to hill, looking, hoping that she was, you know, just desperately calling on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the angel Jibreel. You understand? And made a hole in the ground near where Ismail was laying. And said, when Ismail, the baby, his heel, he was kicking his little feet, little, and you know, on the ground, and you know, and Jibreel showed him, the water came out. The water came out. The well of Zamzam. The well of Zamzam. SubhanAllah. Okay. And so also when we make Hajj and Umrah, you've been there, right? Okay. SubhanAllah. We drink from this well. This well has been preserved for thousands of years. Yes, alhamdulillah. And that water, Zamzam, that special water, SubhanAllah. It's water that again, no other water can compare with it. You're talking about spring water and purified water. It has a unique taste.
Yes.
All right? And some people call it holy water. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it's a special spring that Allah caused it to happen by a miracle, alhamdulillah. And so Hajar was able to take from that water and satisfy her thirst. SubhanAllah. In the middle of the desert, man, Allah called. Well of Zamzam, all right? So that's a famous well that when we make Hajj, we go to drink some of that water. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever drinks, water from Zamzam, we make a dua, and Allah will answer your dua. So secure. Water will do for you in terms of giving you better health or remove some kind of sickness or illness as you drink the water. Alhamdulillah, man. Bismillah. Okay, secure. All right? So that's why when people make the Hajj, they come back with containers of Zamzam. We got some in the refrigerator in the masjid. And I got some home and whatnot. You got to taste it, Umar, when you go with Umi's house. Let me taste that Zamzam water. You taste before, alhamdulillah. Good. Alhamdulillah. Okay? So alhamdulillah, and so over time, a group of, a caravan was passing through the desert, and they saw birds. When they saw birds, obviously, that's a sign that water was present. So they followed the birds, and they saw a well there, and they saw Hajar there. They saw that there was a spring of water there, and so she allowed them to drink. And then later on, they asked, could they settle there and whatnot. And so they worked it out, and so that's how it became a city. People, Allah started sending people to inhabit that area around, the Arabs, around the well of Zamzam in the desert of Mecca that became the city of Mecca. Remember, it was a desert. All right, Mecca was a desert, but it became a city, and it's still a desert. Because if you go there, it's a desert city. All right, but it's a modern though. It's a modern desert city now. You can't tell it's a desert now. You go there, it's just as modern as any of the malls. You got malls all over the place. You got mountains and all. You got all that, everything. It's there. All right. So alhamdulillah, so Hajar stayed there, and Ismail and the people began to come, and alhamdulillah. Another important incident took place as the city began to flourish. More people started populating the area and became the city of Mecca. And of course, the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam would periodically visit Ismail and Hajar. He would visit him. He'd go visit him, alhamdulillah. All right? But again, keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a purpose. You know what I'm saying? All right? And so Ibrahim just following the commandments of Allah. So he would visit them, alhamdulillah. And then one day, Allah tested Ibrahim. Because another test. Ibrahim had many tests in his life, okay? And so another test came, and I'll just read it for you, inshallah, in Surah, Ibrahim's vision. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we gave him the good tidings of a forbearing boy, Ismail. Then when he reached the age of working with him, Ibrahim said, "Oh, my son, indeed I have seen in a vision that I am to sacrifice you. So see what you think." What do you think? He said, "Oh, my father, do what you are commanded. You will find me willing among the patients." Now, this passage from the Quran always, it's a great lesson for fathers and sons. If you got a righteous father, okay, you're a good father, alhamdulillah. The kind of, oh my son, this is what the Almighty has told me to do, alhamdulillah. So when it comes to the commandments, Allah, sons should take the advice of their fathers, when they call them to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Here's a situation where here Ibrahim alayhi salam is going to his son, look, my Lord told me to kill you, man. But of course, Ibrahim is the prophet of Allah. And so is Ismail. He's a prophet of Allah too. He's one of Allah's, favors as well. You see what I'm saying? But he's young. My Lord told me, of course, this was heavy for Ibrahim though. But again, Allah's wisdom. See, so you can see the faith, the level of Ibrahim's faith and the level of Ismail's faith. He said, oh, my Lord, do what you commanded to do, man. God told you to do it, then go and do it. Don't mess with that. You see what I'm saying? So you can see the strong faith. But of course, they were prophets, all right? There are many, many great lessons in this, all right? So as we have seen, the life of Ibrahim was marked by extraordinary events and by tests and trials that would easily have destroyed a person of lesser faith, okay? But perhaps the most difficult of his trial was now to come. Okay, so what he went through with Pharaoh, what he went through with being thrown in the fire, what he went through with the other wicked king in Egypt with his wife, you see what I'm saying? Wow. What he went through with taking his family and leaving him in the desert. These are all tests in his life. He said, this one here, to kill your own son. So when Ismail had reached the age of doing man's work side by side with his father, which is understood as being the age of fully developed consciousness and the ability to reason clearly, a vision came to Ibrahim concerning it. All right, Ibn Kathir, our classical commentator, he said, good intentions. He said, good. Allah mentions that his friend, when he migrated and asked for a son from amongst the righteous, whereupon Allah gave him tidings of a forbearing boy. You're up there in age and you've been wanting a son, then Allah give you a son, and then after He give you the son later on, Allah and then kill him. Man, what? Can you imagine? All right. And so again, Allah gave him a son, and that is Ismail. He was the first child to be born to Ibrahim. And at the age of 86, now Ibrahim is 86 years old, young man. There is no dispute about his being the first, meaning Ismail. And there is Allah saying, when he, Ismail, reached the age of working with him, meaning that he became mature and was capable of working with his father, of doing what his father did. And while it was thus, one night Ibrahim saw in a vision that he had been ordered to cut the throat of his son, all right, Ismail, all right, to sacrifice him, basically, inshallah. So there's a lot of verses in the Quran, a lot of hadith. See, make a long story short, after Ibrahim consulted his son Ismail said, Dad, do what you got to do, and so alhamdulillah. All right, it's a long story, but it's a beautiful story. Many ayats in the Quran, like we said before, Ibrahim's story is mentioned 69 times in the Quran, all right? And many hadiths. They go into, many details about the life of Ibrahim and the whole issue of the sacrifice. Long story short, Ibrahim proceeded to sacrifice his son as commanded by Allah. Okay? And we learn, as Ibrahim and Ismail was marching for going to the area for Ibrahim to carry out the test of cutting his son's throat. That was the method. All right. Then Shaitan, the devil, came to Ibrahim and said, yo, man, you crazy? You crazy? You gonna kill your own son? See, again, the doubt, Shaitan, Oh. And Ibrahim kept on moving. Oh. He came to Ismail. You gonna go for that? I'm just using my own words, okay? You gonna go for that? You gonna kill you, man? Put doubt, you see? And Ibrahim, and Ismail shunned him also. In some of the traditions, some of the commentary, they say that, Ibrahim and Ismail, they stoned Shaitan. Yeah. Get out of here, it's the devil, it's the devil. And so this is why when we make pilgrimage, when we make the Hajj and the Umrah, in the Hajj in particular, there are 3 jamarats, 3 areas that you go stone. We call stoning the Shaitan. It's symbolical. Those were the 3 spots that Shaitan tried to tempt Ibrahim and his son Ismail. Don't do this. Told the father, don't do this. Told the son, don't do this. Abandon this. All right. In other words, don't obey God. All right. And each time, they stoned him. All right. So we commemorate that. When we make the Hajj, that's part of the Hajj rites. You see, that you stone the Jama. That's what that's about. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So that didn't work, and so Ibrahim gets to the spot. Long story short, he lays his son down, alhamdulillah, face down, and because he turned his face down because he didn't want to look at him.
Yeah.
So he turned him down and he held his head back. He pulled out the knife, alhamdulillah. All right, and then some commentators, the Quran doesn't say this, but some of the hadiths, and the commentators said Allah called the knife to be like rubber, like. You know what I'm saying? And he put it to his neck and it didn't cut. You know what I'm saying? It didn't cut. Allah, just like Allah called the fire. The fire, when Ibrahim was thrown in it, didn't have no effect. So the knife didn't have no effect. All right. Then Allah called, so he carried out the act, but it didn't cut. Because Allah didn't need Ismail's blood. He was testing Ibrahim. So Allah called us, oh Ibrahim, you fulfilled the mission. It's okay. It's okay. You fulfilled it. You carried out my command. That means your love of Allah, your love of God, your love of this deen is stronger than love of anything else in the world. Right? That's Ibrahim was powerful. You see? So Allah sent a ram. He said, sacrifice the lamb instead of Ibrahim. See? So that's one of the rites that we make on Hajj also. When we make the Hajj, we make the sacrifice. And on the Eid, those of us who don't make the Hajj, on the day of the Eid, Eid al-Adha, we make the sacrifice in commemoration.
Wow.
In commemoration of that act of, remember, that act of obedience. That's what it was, okay? That was an act of pure obedience blindly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Wow.
And that's how we should be when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what I'm saying? Even though, alhamdulillah, the level of Ibrahim and Ismail altogether different, but they're prophets and whatnot. So the lesson for us is that nothing should supersede our love of Allah. We love Allah.
Amen.
More than anything and whatnot. We'll never let anything interfere with that. And that's the lesson and whatnot. And if Ibrahim alayhi salam was willing to sacrifice the most beloved thing to him, then what are we as believers and followers willing to sacrifice for the cause of God, for the sake of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and like the companions. So it's also a test for what we sacrifice. So symbolically, on the day of the Eid, yes, we'll sacrifice. So we go out and we slaughter a goat, we slaughter a camel, we slaughter a cow and whatnot, and give the meat to the poor and the needy, alhamdulillah, in commemoration of that, alhamdulillah. But again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that Allah is not in need of your blood. You know what I'm saying? So Ibrahim, Allah does not need his blood. Allah needs your piety. That was the test, okay? Everybody got that?
No.
Alhamdulillah. So like I said, it was a big test for Ibrahim, alhamdulillah, and Ismail, alhamdulillah, okay? Ibrahim visits Ismail. Alhamdulillah, we learned that Ibrahim he would come periodically and visit his son, and on one of those visits, him and Ismail built the Kaaba. They built the Kaaba together, alhamdulillah, okay? And so we're kind of like, from the Quran and from the Hadith concerning this, okay? So in 311, okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah 22, verse 26, and mention Muhammad when we designed the site of the house for Ibrahim. All right? At some time after the birth of his second son Ishaq, so now Sarah gets pregnant, all right, too, and she eventually has a son Ishaq. So now Ibrahim got two sons, all right? For a long time he had no sons at all. All right, Sarah couldn't give birth, all right, then Allah let Ibrahim marry Hajar, Sarah's maidservant, all right, and then he has Ismail from her, okay? And then later on, alhamdulillah, Sarah finally has a son, alhamdulillah. Allah announced that to him, okay? We'll come back to that later. As time passed, Ibrahim had a second son, Isaac, which we will report in the next section anyway. Ibrahim, now very old and somewhat weak, he visited Ismail again. Ibn Abbas says, so Ibrahim, stayed away from them as long as Allah willed. And then afterwards he came while Ismail was sharpening his arrows under a spreading spreading tree near the well of Zamzam. And when he saw him, he stood up to greet him, stood up to greet his father. Alhamdulillah. And they did as a father does to his son and a son does to his father. Ibrahim said, oh Ismail, Allah has given me another command now, okay? Ismail said, then do what your Lord has commanded you. And And will you help me? Will you help me? Ibrahim is telling, Allah has commanded me to do something. Will you help me? And he said, and I will help you. This is in Bukhari. This is a Bukhari hadith, by the way. All right? Now, this may seem at first glance like a very casual conversation, but indeed it was not. So when Ismail promised to help his father carry out his Lord's order, he had no idea what that order might be. See, again, whatever you got to do, Apple, I'm with you. That's amazing, man. All right? So when he told him about his vision, like sacrifice, all right, then Ismail responded similarly, okay? And now his submission to his Lord was being tested again with respect to a totally unknown order. Nevertheless, his response shows that regardless of what that order might be, he was always ready to help, for the sake of Allah, his father. Alhamdulillah, okay? And Ibrahim said, indeed, Allah has commanded me to build a house. Okay? Allah has commanded me to build a house here where you and your mother are living here in Mecca. SubhanAllah. And he pointed to a hillock, which was higher than the land surrounding it. This is Bukhari hadith. Okay? This is hadith. Okay? And so, alhamdulillah, Ibrahim and Ismail, they built the Kaaba, to make a long story short. Okay? All right? The Kaaba is the first house of worship on the planet. All right? That's what they built. All right? Right there in Mecca. And that's why, we go there at least once in a lifetime, to witness this, the oneness of Allah, to witness the believers from all over the world converging on Mecca and that house, the Kaaba, that was built by the Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail. Some of our tradition mention that Adam built it first, and it was destroyed and it was rebuilt by, but again, and Allah knows best. But Ibrahim and Ismail were the one that mainly known for building the Kaaba, because it's mentioned in the Quran. It's very, very clear as being the first house of worship. Okay, and perhaps Adam and those who came before him may have targeted the spot and whatnot. Maybe the foundation might have been there, and Allah knows best. But it was Ismail and Ibrahim that built the Kaaba that we know. But then again, since their time, throughout history, all the way up to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and even beyond, the Kaaba has been destroyed and flooded and been through many different things. But it's that area, it's that spot, okay? And so the foundation has always been there, and they rebuilt it, renovated it, and fixed it up, so forth and so on, okay? But the Kaaba, the same Kaaba, it's still called the Kaaba. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And as they were building, and there's a lot of details, Ibrahim and Ismail, building the Kaaba and putting the bricks into place. And there's one area near the Kaaba called the Station of Ibrahim, where he stood up, they had to stand on this like rock, the later brick because they needed some height, and it was like a ladder. They stepped on the rock, and Ibrahim's footprint was lodged in the cement, the rock itself. And if you go to Mecca, that footprint is still preserved. It's amazing. It's encased in a glass, like a dish, like a covering. You can look in it and you see this footprint, where Ibrahim stepped on it to gain some height, so he can again fulfill the task of building the Kaaba, laying the bricks. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah. Long story short, again, the city of Mecca grew and it flourished. Alhamdulillah, the Kaaba was built. Alhamdulillah. And the Hajj rituals was established by the Prophet Ibrahim. Okay, and so we want to move on to that. And the pilgrimage. Again, Ibn Kathir and others report that when Ibrahim had completed building the sacred house, his Lord gave him a further command. Okay? After he built the house, Allah commanded Ibrahim, and proclaimed the Hajj to mankind. That's Surah 22, verse 27. and proclaim the Hajj to mankind. Tell all mankind that they should make the pilgrimage to Mecca and worship me and me alone. Okay? That pilgrimage to the house might be an obligation, or that pilgrimage to the house might be an obligation on all who follow in his path up to the last day. Okay? Everybody that followed the religion of Ibrahim, and the religion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu that's connected to the Prophet Ibrahim. Again, Hajj is the duty upon them. Okay? Oh Lord, how will so Ibrahim said, oh Lord, how could I fulfill that command of calling mankind, subhanAllah, to Hajj, right? This is this Ibn Kathir's commentary. Alright? Oh Lord, how will my voice reach them? You know, because they didn't have cell phones and computers and telephones to communicate to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine? So, anyway, oh Lord, how will my voice reach them, mankind? Because the command from Allah is to proclaim the pilgrimage to all of mankind. So he even asked that question, oh Lord, how can I let all of mankind know that it is their duty to come to the Kaaba to worship you? And so Allah's answer was the calling people is your task. Just call. Just call whoever you see, whoever, you know, just make the call, you know. Just make the call. Wherever you go, wherever you are, make the call. Call the people. You can stand up on a mountain, call the people. You're in the marketplace, you're on the street. Well, just call the people. Y'all got to make Hajj. Y'all got to come to the house of Allah, the Kaaba, and worship Him. So in other words, so make the call. The calling is your task. Allah replied, making it reach mankind is my responsibility. Okay? You know, Ibn Kathir continues. It's a very beautiful commentary. Then Ibrahim stood either upon the stone known as the station of Ibrahim that we just talked about, or on top of the hill of Safa. You know, remember the two hills? Yeah, Safa and Marwa. So Ibn Kathir says either he stood, you know, saying on the hill of Safa and Marwa, or one of those hills, or he stood on the station, because remember the station of Ibrahim was somewhat elevated, because it was like a step, so they can gain some height, to put the bricks into the Kaaba. And so the Prophet even said, "O people, there is a house of your Lord here, so come for the Hajj." And it is said, his voice reached the whole world, SubhanAllah, to the extent that the unborn children in their father's loins or mother's womb heard the sound. Allah. And all the people who were destined to make the Hajj in the future called out, Labbaik, Labbaik, I am here, Allah, I am here. So you heard it, man. You heard it, man. Yes, SubhanAllah. Allah made us Muslim. Amen. We heard it, man. So Ibn Kathir is saying, hey, by my miracle, man, just like a lot of things, spiritually we don't understand. It's like Allah subhanahu when He created Adam, He drew from Adam's loins what? All of Adam's children that we born to their judgment. Man, but we don't remember that. But He made us bear witness that we should worship Him alone. The covenant. The covenant, man. We know, so we believe this and whatnot. So these are miraculous things, man. It comes from the world of spirituality, man. So Ibn Kathir said, hey, so when Ibrahim made the call, man, SubhanAllah, we heard it some kind of way. Yeah. You see? And so when we came into this life and we came into Islam and whatnot, man, that's the manifestation of it, man, because we made the Hajj, man. Those of us who made it, man. That's why when we go to Hajj, we say we Allah's guests. Allah invited us here. SubhanAllah, it's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? And then there's a hadith that Tabari mentions. He said, Jibreel came to Ibrahim on the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, preceding the day of Arafah, which constitute one of the central events of Hajj, and went with him to Mina, praying the midday, afternoon, sunset, late evening, and dawn prayers. All right. In other words, this hadith is telling us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Ibrahim and Ismail the rites of Hajj that we do today. The rites of Hajj that we carry today, we've been preserved. But of course, over time, when people went astray, they forgot the rites of Hajj taught by Ibrahim. And they brought in all those idols around the Kaaba, and Allah revealed to Ibrahim that Ibrahim, taught, got contaminated, all kinds of innovations, it was distorted. So it was revived, the advent of Rasulullah. So you see the bigger picture, the Hajj being taken there, and then, finding the well of Zamzam, and the people coming to settle there, and then Ibrahim, alhamdulillah, Ismail building the Kaaba, subhanAllah, all of that, okay? So alhamdulillah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Ibrahim the rites of Hajj. So all of the rites of Hajj that we do today, we can take it back to Ibrahim. The Prophet Muhammad did what? He say it again? Revived it.
Restored.
There you go, restored, revived. That's important to know. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okie doke. And now we'll just move on to the death of Ibrahim. He dies. And we'll close out with that. And then we'll move on next week with Ismail and Jacob and some of the other prophets, inshallah, in the line of Ibrahim, inshallah. Okay. 31. Okay, though. Here we go. The death of Ibrahim. Alhamdulillah, we got to this part. I wanted to, because what we just covered so far was really like a view. Most of that we covered 3 months ago. But just to refresh you, you know what I'm saying? That's why I went through it kind of fast, and I hope you got it. Alhamdulillah. And we'll continue. All right? So the death of Ibrahim. And we granted Ibrahim his reward in this world. And indeed, in the hereafter, will he be among the righteous. Surah 29, verse 27. There is no mention in the Quran of Ibrahim's remaining years. Okay? After him and Ismail built the Kaaba and all of that. But some classical commentators confirm the report in Genesis, okay? The Bible. And the Prophet said we can use the Bible as long as the Bible does not contradict Quran and Sunnah. Okay? All right? So some of the classical commentators again, like Ibn Kathir, Tabari, and whatnot, and whatnot, they said that Sarah preceded him in death, and that she was buried in a field which Ibrahim bought in Hebron, which is a place in Palestine. Okay? The commentators also confirm the statement in Genesis 25, verses 1 to 2, that after Sarah's death, Ibrahim married a Canaanite woman named Keturah. Okay? And that she bore him 6 sons. Okay? She bore him 6 sons. And that the prophet Shuaib, whose story we will narrate later in this volume, is said to have been Ibrahim's descendant through this marriage. SubhanAllah. Thus, Ibrahim was ultimately the father of 8 sons, including Ismail and Isaac. Got that?
No.
All right. That's knowledge that most people don't know. Okay, SubhanAllah. 8 sons, including, Isaac and Ismail. But of course, the Quran only mentions Ismail and Isaac. Okay?
No.
Earlier, we mentioned Ibrahim's love of showing hospitality to guests and having people to eat with him. It is reported in the hadith that one day he set out to find someone to invite, but found no one. When he returned home, he found a stranger inside his house. O servant of Allah, how is it that you entered my house without my permission? Ibrahim asked. And he said, I entered by permission of his Lord. The stranger replied, who are you then? Ibrahim asked, SubhanAllah. You know what's coming next? Yeah. So, I am the angel of death. I am the angel of death. SubhanAllah. And the angel of death, they come to take your soul. And we find many narrations how prophets had these kind of encounters.
Right.
When the Lord was time to take their soul, the angel would come to them and so forth and so on. SubhanAllah. And we all got to meet that end.
Amen.
We may not see no angel, you know what I'm saying? All right, but this is a lot of blessing. This is a lot of honor. He said an angel and whatnot, okay? So I am the angel of death, he replied, and my Lord has sent me to one of his servants to give him the good news that he has chosen him as his friend. And who is he? Ibrahim asked. For by Allah, if you tell me about him, I will go and visit him, even if he is in the most remote place, and I will become his neighbor until death separates us. That servant is you.
Wow.
That servant is you, Ibrahim. The Lord's friend. The angel replied. Ibrahim said, me? Yes. For what reason has my Lord chosen me as his friend? Ibrahim asked. Because you give to people and do not ask anything of them, was the reply. And this is a commentary by Ibn Kathir. All right. Anyway, long story short, Ibrahim, I'm sorry. Ibrahim did, and when he turned back, such was Ibrahim, such was Ibrahim, the true, the faithful. At that point, the angel Hamza took his Hamza. Such was Ibrahim, the true, the faithful, who was so completely at one with the divine will that when his Lord said to him, surrender, he said, I have surrendered to the Lord of the worlds. And he charged his sons to firmly keep to the pure faith appointed for them by their Lord. And so did Jacob after him, saying, O my sons, indeed Allah has chosen the religion for you, so do not die except that you die as a Muslim. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we left this invocation for him among the latter generations. Peace be upon Ibrahim. Thus do we surely reward the doers of good. Indeed, he was among our believing servants. So you see at the end of Ibrahim's life, according to the tafsir of Ibn Abbas and them, some of the commentators, the angel of death came to him as a guest to his house, and Ibrahim had this conversation with him, alhamdulillah, and then alhamdulillah, then eventually took his soul, and that's how he passed, all right, and so alhamdulillah, that's the end of the life of Ibrahim. And so at the end of his life, of course, it mentions how he had, prayed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would let his sons as well, die upon Islam.
He knocked the angel of death eye out?
Huh?
No, Musa.
No, Musa. It's another one. We'll come back then.
Yeah.
And of course, he knocked the angel of death now because he didn't know it was an angel.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. That's what commentators say. You see what I'm saying? But inshallah, we'll come back to that when we get to the story of Musa. Okay? So we finished with Ibrahim.
Wow.
But then again, we'll continue his legacy right into speaking about Ishaq and Ismail and Yaqub, so forth and so on, inshallah. All right? Right.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, our Black History lesson